with a commitment to lifelong learning by guaranteeing a challenging curriculum facilitated by an innovative and dedicated staff, community participation, and the state-of-the-art resources in a stimulating atmosphere.
Thank you. Next on our agenda will be to adopt the current agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda?
Yes, there are a few changes this evening. The first change, under superintendent items, could we add item, just a second, I'm sorry, closed down. Could we add item C, approval of field trips for the Trotwood Madison Band?
Mhm.
And Ms. Adams has one item she'd like to add as well.
Yes, I have two then and nows to present to you for approval tonight. One to Prairie Farms and one to the PNC card. So we'll add that to mine.
Under the treasurer's report?
Yes.
And then last, I would like to remove number 10, the executive session this evening. I'd like to remove the executive session. And that's all the changes I have.
Thank you, sir.
I need a motion to adopt the agenda with changes.
I motion to adopt the agenda with changes.
I'll second.
Ms. Adams has been moved to second. Will you call the roll?
Yes. Mrs. Currington?
Yes.
Mrs. Simmons?
Yes.
Mr. Lumpkin?
Yes.
Mrs. Kilgore?
Yes.
Mrs. Cherry?
Yes, motion passes to adopt the agenda with changes. Next up is presentations. Do we have any?
We do. The first presentation this evening is from the Trotwood Improvement Corporation, CIC, and we have Chad Downing here from the CIC for a brief presentation for the board this evening.
Good evening, everyone. I've got a handout for each of you, which will give you some more information, share some of the details that we'll go over here. But most of all, I appreciate the opportunity to come and speak before you. I've got some exciting updates and some steps for us as we continue our partnership, specifically with regard to momentum in the industrial park. And I can certainly share this if you would like it for going forward here. And where would you like me to stand here?
You can stay there.
Well, again, thank you for the opportunity. As you have probably seen here in the community, we've had a lot of attraction and growth in our industrial park. And one of the key roles in that is the role that the school district has played in helping to provide support and approval for using the CRA tax abatement tool. And for those maybe in the audience who don't know or on the district who want a refresher, CRA tax abatement is effectively abating the increase in property taxes. We do not ever lower property taxes from where they are. It abates the future improvement value only for a limited amount of time. And the most that you can abate a property for new improvement value is 15 years under Ohio Revised Code. And everything I'm going to stipulate tonight is all under the current framework of property taxes, how they operate today. We all know there's a lot of discussions at the state level about property taxes, the future of those. So everything, we're operating under the current assumptions of how we've operated now and historically. But that tool, the CRA tax abatement tool, has been fundamental in positioning Trotwood to be attractive, not only to developers for housing. We use this for housing in the tornado recovery process, as well as for new single-family housing, but especially for attracting quality root jobs and employers. This is a tool that we use to compete against other peer communities in the region, as well as across the state. And the benefit to Trotwood is we have some great success using this tool. Some areas maybe it hasn't come out how they had hoped, but for Trotwood, because of the partnership, the focus of the city, and the support of the school district, as well as many of the institutions in the surrounding area, including Miami Valley CTC, we've seen a lot of success with this tool. So we want you to know that from the city and the CIC, we appreciate the partnership with the schools, as does our partner, Gated Properties Global. So looking at this on the first or the second page here, Beyond Tag started operations a little over a year ago. They are a very equipment-heavy operation, And so they have been taking time to establish their lines of manufacturing. And what they specialize in is labeling. So many labeling products that you probably see, whether it's school equipment or materials or things like you buy, like shampoo, they make the labels for that. But what they're really leaning to here in Trotwood is RFID labels, which are high-tech labels that no longer need barcodes. They can just go through, for instance, UPS is going to adopt this into the future. Every box will be able to go through a scanner and they'll know where everything is without it having to be individually laser scanned. So that's going to be the future, and that's happening right here in Trotwood. Similarly, Westrafo, the newest company, we were before you a little over a year ago getting this approval for them. They are now finally in their facility. They haven't started operations yet. They're probably up to about 25 employees, but their goal is to get up to 230. Westrafo is an Italian company that was highly sought after, not only through the state of Ohio, but across the country to locate them there. They built advanced transformers for the electrical grid, all of which are large key pieces of what's needed to continue to move the economy forward. So we're really lucky to have these two international companies come and choose Trotwood to make their national headquarters in the United States. A key fundamental component of that, though, was the utilization of this tool. And for both of these projects, the school district and the city came together to apply the maximum 15-year 100% tax abatement. I will go over why that's a benefit, but bottom line is we have a proven model here, and one of the benefits of this is between just those two companies, we're going to have over 500 new jobs when they get up to full operation here within, we're assuming around 2027. Some things have been slowed due to tariffs, as you can assume, with materials coming in and a lot of that equipment. So they're still working to meet their obligations. We expect that with the growth these companies are seeing, they will exceed those employment marks. Looking at the next page here, a key component of these agreements is that, especially if it's beyond a 75% abatement, that the schools have to provide overview and support on that. We want your approval on abatements regardless because it does impact your bottom line. But with these industrial jobs and these types of abatements for industrial job creation, we know that this creates an opportunity for you and your students, and it doesn't create an additional burden on the school district in the way of new students like a housing development would. So we take these into different consideration. But one of the key focuses of this in the compensation agreement, which we will be talking about further, is we don't want to have the schools give up this tax for nothing. What we've done in the past historically is we have entered into compensation agreements to say that in the example of BeyondTag, which at that time was a spec building, we didn't know BeyondTag was going to be the company that was going to go there. We said whatever company or companies come to this building, we're going to create 5 internship positions. 4 of those exclusively for Trotwood Madison students, 1 for a Miami Valley CT student, but preferably a Trotwood Miami Valley CTC student. And in the case that we weren't able to have those internships in place, each year the developer of this, who we entered into agreement with, would make a donation to the schools of $1,000 per unfilled role, so $5,000 per year. With Westrafo, we kept the same type of framework. I believe we ranked up I think it was to $2,000 a year that in lieu of an internship position. And unfortunately, we haven't been able to fill those yet, but that hasn't been because the companies aren't interested. It's simply been getting them started and getting operationalized and actually having roles and positions for the students to participate in. And so that's very focal to our focus here. And looking at this slide here, which goes over the career pathways, and this photo is actually from the grand opening here at the facility in Trotwood, just for context, is that we expect both companies to be able to deploy internship pathways in 2026. And what we're going to be doing in partnership with Gated Properties Global is sitting down with the school district and representatives that you have us work with, as well as the companies, to create these pathways. Now that both companies are getting to a position where they're ready and able to have these roles fulfilled. At the end of the year, since we haven't fulfilled these, obviously Gated is going to contribute that donation as they have, and they've been in compliance with that. And in my capacity, I oversee the compliance with this process. So I'll work closely with the district to make sure that today and tomorrow, the developers, the companies, everyone's in compliance with the expectations of the compensation agreement. So that's really critical, is making sure that we're following the agreements we put into the past. But what I'm really excited to be here today is to talk about what's coming here into the future and how do we continue this partnership. But advance upon it, quite frankly. So looking at the next slide here, under the what's new, the site you can see that's highlighted on the map, for those of you who may be familiar with the industrial park, this is located behind where the old Danny Boy ice cream facility was, that was then Premier Energy, and is right now a trucking company, very close to where Equipment Share has located and started operations. And I should note, Equipment Share did not take a tax abatement. That was a unique opportunity for that company. So that luckily the school district and everyone is benefiting fully from that. Different type of company in their approach though. Now again, what we're looking at here on this site, in partnership with Gated Properties Global, who did develop both Beyond Tag and the Westrafo, are two new Class A state-of-the-art spec buildings. We don't know who the companies are gonna be that are coming here, but our key objective in working with city leadership and Gated is to continue to diversify our industrial base for the city of Trotwood. We don't want to necessarily have one giant company that if they close down, our economy falters and has to struggle through that. We want to diversify and have, yes, some strong companies that have financial resources and abilities to create real pathways here, but we want to diversify and have other companies so that we are strong and can weather different types of economic turns or challenges, but most importantly, create opportunities and pathways for our students, our residents to have great careers right here in the city of Trotwood. So if you go to the next page here for the conceptual site plan, this represents what's being proposed. As early as Monday, we're going to be reviewing with the fire marshal, our city engineer, and other key departments all of the plans for these. But so far, because our development partners have been working with us, they've really hit everything we want to see here. So the first building that I want to bring to your attention is highlighted in orange. This is a multi-tenant 58,000 square foot building right along Prosperity Drive. I've labeled where Equipment Share is and where the trucking company is for additional context here. And this road to the north is Wolf Creek Pike for context. At this area, which is currently underutilized, just fallow land, they're going to be creating this multi-tenant space so we can attract some smaller, high-quality companies that are looking for this space. Then, behind where the trucking company is into the 15-acre site that the CIC has sold to them, they are looking at proposing two 100,000 square foot spec buildings. They will build one in this phase along with the 58,000 square foot, but they'll have the ability to shift into the third should the market continue to show conditions that are favorable for attracting businesses, or even better yet and more ideal is if we can attract a build-to-suit for a specific company that has what they need. So this demonstrates significant opportunity for us to continue to attract more businesses here. And something to note about the CRA tax abatement. When that 15 years ends up, the school district, all the taxing jurisdictions are going to see a significant increase in the accounts receivable from taxes because there's no way to extend those. That is a one-time abatement. There's no way to go back and continue that abatement going forward. So we will model this out, and we've got these with our finance director to be able to share with the district. But now we're looking at in year 12, 13 from now to see some significant increases on property taxes coming in for the school district, and the same will be true with these when they come forward here. So we're very excited. This candidly is going to put us in a position that is very unique to the region right now. Most of where you see development happening and it's slowed is around the Dayton Airport. This is going to put us in a position to attract new residents and new jobs right here into the city of Trotwood with this partnership. Moving on to the next slide here, and really, why does CRA matter? Why aren't companies coming here to locate and just pay the property taxes? And I'll be the first person to tell you, I wish that's how the world operated. I'm not the biggest fan of abatements or incentives, but if we want to compete and bring these jobs here, it's the world that we operate within. So I always mind that. Everyone knows, my family comes from education. My mom's a principal. My grandmother was a teacher. So this is always fundamental to me when we think about utilizing these tools. But clearly, with the CRA tax abatement, we've been able to attract some world-class companies. Westrafo, for example, is one of the fastest growing companies in Europe, and they're the top 11 in Italy, where they're from. So we're talking about really serious companies that come with significant growth opportunities. And not to mention that, companies like Westrafo, other companies follow them. We became in second place to a job lead that Westrafo brought out here because of that. We lost out only because there was another building and workforce ready to go. So we stand really primed to attract more companies out here. The challenge is, without the CRA tax abatement, it becomes more cost-effective to go into already built buildings, and the costs are gonna be too high, so they may even go to other states where we don't have the same tax basis. The good news is, once a company can get established and get to year 15, they've got their financial modeling in place, and hopefully their growth trajectory, or when the taxes set in, it's not gonna be a problem for them. So we really believe that this tool, it has been fundamental and the cornerstone to much of this activity, and it's ultimately the partnership with the community here. So now to why I'm here at this point in time. There's an urgency that's come in with the market, with tariffs, with opportunity, quite frankly, to get ahead of other companies or developers doing this in the region. Because when they see that we're underway with these, there will be less that will come out into the market to compete because of the risk. So our objective now that we've got approvals, we've got the pricing that's needed and effectively locked in at this time, is that we want to move to get the ground broken and these buildings underway before winter starts, so that they can effectively do all the interior work during the winter months. That puts us in a little bit of a time crunch, so I appreciate the opportunity to be here this evening to preview this with you. But our objective would be to, in the short term, have a meeting with Gated Properties Global and representatives from the school district to talk about these next compensation agreements and what that framework can look like for going forward. We want to use the structure that we've built, but advance upon that. So that'd be my first request. And then we will work with our attorney to get the agreements and those compensation agreements positioned to come before you at your next meeting on September 18th. And then our next objective there for the approval timeframe is Miami Valley CTC receives this same approval. Traditionally, they have followed Trotwood Madison's lead, as they do with other school districts. So their next meeting would be on October 14th. And City Council is positioned to potentially hold a special meeting shortly after that, so we can get that approval in place, because this is a priority for leadership and the mayor. Our goal would be that we start construction on the site by November 1st. So again, this is a compressed time frame, but given the fact that we have trusted partners, we've gotten experience, and really what we need to do is just talk about what does the future look like for these agreements. I think we've got all of what we need to do to be able to hit these timeframes here. So our ask again is to get a meeting set up here in the next week or so, have a discussion, come to an agreement on what the future looks like with this compensation agreement, and we'll be before you at your next meeting for the approval of this. So with that, I know I've talked a lot here, and I apologize, but I want to make sure I give the full context, especially because I know there's some new school board members here since I've been here last. But I want to open it up to any questions that you might have about the process, our development partners, what this means for the community.
I have a question. What does the internship look like for our students? Is that 6 weeks, 10 weeks?
That's a great question, and I think that's something that we can establish. When we had contemplated it, we hadn't put the box around it, especially with the Biontech, the first building. We didn't know who the company was going to be. So it does become challenging in pre-establishing some of those terms, but our objective was to see something that was more meaningful, like like a semester, half the year, or a full year type internship. We want to create meaningful opportunities for students to do more than shadow. Get in, learn, hopefully ideally get integrated with a company where there's future job opportunities for them to grow with the company. So I think those are exactly some of the items that we want to firm up here, and we can adapt within the compensation agreement for our prior agreements with Westrafo and Biontech, but establish these in a way that when we do know the companies that will come into these buildings, what does that look like? And then there's the reality that there may be some companies that maybe aren't the best for internships. They're not inclined to be able to do that given their framework. Maybe it's a safety consideration. That's where we want to make sure we have a good financial opportunity so that the school district can take those resources and program them for other internship opportunities, whether that's transportation, maybe to other opportunities that aren't right here in Trotwood, or establishing other extracurricular programming that benefits students. So that's why we always put in that other or, because we just don't know with what these companies are going to be in these jobs. Now, what I will say is our development partners are not going to take just any company. They are really serious about how do the companies that come here impact the future. And they've rejected logistics companies because they create 2 jobs. So that's why we've ended up with companies that each have over 230 jobs intended to be created.
Question.
Yes,
The
sir.
Gated properties, are they a willing participant in the internship part of it?
So
Because-
gated-
And this is the reason why I
Yeah.
asked the question.
Mhm.
They're the ones that we do the abatements with.
That's right.
So why would we not teach our students how to take that step? Are they a willing participant in that?
I think they would be. The one challenge for them is they're not located here. They are a California-based company, originally Ohioans, out of Cincinnati. So internal office experience may be more challenging with them, but I believe that they would be willing to create experiences and pathways for students to learn about that type of process. And
I
I'm
mean,
more
we've got Zoom. so they don't have
That's
to-
right, that's right. But I know part of this is making sure students have that in-office, on-site experience. But I think certainly, to your point, Mr. Lumpkin, they'd be open to that type of a discussion. And if a company can't fulfill one, I'm sure they'd be open to that. I think that's a great question, and they're definitely open to have those discussions.
So in essence, what you need from us is a time next week where you and representatives from those companies sit down and we talk through
That's right.
this
Yep.
process.
Yeah, in this initial meeting, what it would be us and Gated Properties Global, potentially City Manager Pope, for us to sit down, talk about what does this next compensation agreement looks like.
Okay.
And then from there, we do intend to have a series of meetings with the appropriate team here for Westrafo and Biontech to look at 2026. Now's the perfect time to start those discussions. Our key focus for this next meeting is, what does that future arrangement look like? Are we talking about, 5 internships per company, per building? How do we square that up? Because now we've got a 58,000 square foot building. So some of those activities, and then, do we increase the amount that's paid in lieu of an internship position? And that's our partners, Gated. They wish that they were not dealing with some family things and traveling right now, but they are very excited to have that conversation and advance upon that initial framework where it was really, we were taking a risk together. We all didn't really know what this was gonna turn into, and Westrafo candidly was such a fast opportunity. We had less than 30 days to put that all together from the time the opportunity struck till now. And to the community's credit, we built that building in less than 12 months, which quite frankly, I think is one of the fastest projects in Ohio's history. And I will say, as things like Intel waver right now with their future, a lot of eyes are focusing on what's going on with Trotwood with Westrafo because that was such a meaningful outcome. We even had Lieutenant Governor Husted here for that, for that grand opening. So, and another piece of this as well, and I'll get a formal invitation out to you all, but Westrafo is gonna have their official grand opening on October 9th, and we want to extend an invitation to the school district. We're still working with them on the plans for that. So feel free to note that. We'll have a firm time frame of when that is during the day, but as partners, we want to make sure the school district and the school board is represented and invited.
So, I guess our next step would be the board would need to maybe appoint a representative if you guys wanna have someone there. And then, I can maybe shoot you some open times next week
That'd be perfect.
and, probably reach out to one of the folks at the high school, even Ms. Murdoch.
Yep.
With regards to, some of these career pathways
That'd be
that we're
excellent.
trying to establish. And then go from there. So I will give you guys, some time to think about who, if any, or if all, want to come to the meeting. And then, I see them looking at Mr. Lumpkin.
I serve on the CIC board. so
Oh, okay.
it just be-
Okay.
It just
Okay.
depends on what one it is.
Okay, so what I'll do is I'll check availability,
That's perfect.
and then I'll check with Ms. Murdoch, and then we'll see what that looks like, and then I'll shoot you a couple dates and
Perfect.
go from there.
That sounds great. Well, I really
Everybody okay
appreciate it.
with
If there
that?
are any follow-up questions, certainly
okay?
you're more than welcome to channel them through Mr. Howard or reach out to me directly. We want to make sure that everyone is very comfortable and understands everything we're doing here, but I hope you see the success that the decisions of this board and the city have made here in recent years, and I think we can really build upon that. And one last final comment. We don't want to necessarily just stop at creating pathways for students through these companies that we're generating now. I'd love to work with your team to look at how we can create internships with other already pre-established companies. We're going to be doing a big business retention and expansion tour here later this year, and I'd love to have that as part of the component of that package, if you will. So I think it's a
Great.
perfect time for us to, if you will, hard to do, slow down and take a look and make sure we plan for the future. but no better time than now.
I have a question.
Yeah.
All of this is going around the industrial park, but what about the Consumer Square area? Is there any talk about the Consumer Square area?
Great question. So Consumer Square, the city has been putting a significant amount of pressure through code and property violations on the owners of Consumer Square. Fortunately, and unfortunately, it's a double-edged sword. That property was bought at auction a little over a year and a half ago by a group that actually is the same group that owns another shopping center here in town. And they have not come into compliance as quickly as we would like. Now, they are beginning to make improvements based on my discussions with the fire marshal and others. So we remain optimistic, but not enthusiastic about the way that they have gone about the redevelopment of that. They have located some good businesses in there, but what I can assure you is City Manager Pope and leadership and council have taken steps to make sure that we're putting the pressure on them to change what they're doing and move faster. But technically, right now, they're not able to lease any space because they're not in compliance with the city. So they are ineligible until they meet certain requirements to move forward. So it's a really disappointing situation because candidly, we had other developers lined up to acquire it. This group spent so much money buying it that I think they ran out of money to redevelop it. So it's a disappointing situation. I think we're going to begin to see, to the root of your question, some other positive outcomes on other sites. We've got the Sears redevelopment project, which is going to be something we'll be back to talk with you all about, especially in the context of students and engagement. We've collected in grants over $6 million this year as the CIC towards that project, whether through historic tax credits, demolition grants through the Department of Development to do interior demolition, and others. So we're going to see that project really come into focus here in the third and fourth quarter of this year with construction starting next year. So certainly everyone stay tuned for opportunities to come out and engage with us on that. We want to hear from everyone. We're going to have a series of events. We're working with Tay Winston to help us with that. And then finally, the old Burlington Coat Factory site that went through an auction process, and it is our understanding that they may be under contract and move into closing with a new owner, someone who is local. So it's a little premature to say if the final due diligence will all come through with that, but at least we're moving out of what I'll call these out-of-state owners who don't care, who won't pick up the phone when we call, to people that we can work with. So I think that we stand, and we're going to need the school's support in all of these next steps, but I think we stand in a position to really see a big change in some of these, status quo properties, I'll call them nicely, that have been out there for the past couple of years or more than a decade over the next 12 to 16 months. So I'll be back here probably quite a bit to talk with you, give you updates. And I'm always happy to come and just give an economic development update. I want to make sure the schools know what's happening, and we're all on the same team here. This is a team sport, so.
And one of the things that I want to also kind of put on your plate, because I know Mr. Lumpkin and I have been talking about it as well, and I'm sidebarring a little bit.
Please.
Is the development or redevelopment of the Bob Driver site over here in the
Yes.
city.
Yes.
You and I had some preliminary conversations several years ago.
Yep.
When I was in another role, and it still continues to be something that sits on our plate. And I
Absolutely.
would definitely like for us to have some productive dialogue about what we can do collaboratively with that site.
Absolutely, and please see the CIC and know that while we're an agent of the city, we're an agent of the community, and we can play the similar role that we play with the city, with the schools. So we're happy to come in, at the very least, provide insight, technical assistance, but ultimately partner with you to affect the change you want there. So that's something I'd love to do when you're ready and time's appropriate.
So, are there any more questions for Mr. Dow? Okay, so what I'll do is I'll poll the board with regards to any
Okay.
questions that they have.
That sounds great.
And then they'll shoot them to myself or Mr. Lumpkin, and then we'll look at some dates. I'll see what his schedule looks like.
Perfect.
And
I'll
then
make myself
we'll,
available when it works for you, and I
yeah,
know
we'll
the
set it
partners
up.
at Gated will as well. So, Marla, if you run into challenges, give me a call, but we'll make this work. And I really appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight and for your willingness to work with us as quickly as we will. I know it'll be smooth, and we'll come up with some great outcomes.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you all.
Appreciate it.
Have a
Thank
great
you.
evening.
Item number 3, board report.
This item is labeled board report, but it is a follow-up from our last meeting in regards to the decision the board discussed briefly about whether or not they wanted to, you guys wanted to join the Vouchers Hurt Ohio movement. In your folder labeled document number 1 is the same document I provided to the board last meeting that describes and details what the Equity in Education Coalition Vouchers Hurt Ohio movement program is. It's my job to share the information, and ultimately the board has to decide whether or not they want to join the coalition or not. And if they do, if you guys do, there's a two-step process. The first process, as I stated last meeting, is to pass a resolution that details the parameters of joining the coalition. And then the second would be to, once you pass the resolution, make a commitment to pay Vouchers Hurt Ohio $2 per pupil for joining the coalition. I think roughly for Trotwood Madison City Schools at $2 per pupil, between $4,800 and $5,000 that the board would have to vote on to contribute to the coalition. And as stated last time, there is a list of all of the organizations that have, the school districts that have joined the coalition and movement. And again, you know, we know where we are, we know what's going on in public education, and this is a movement to stop the purging, in a sense, of public money to private schools, in a sense.
Is that a one-time contribution?
I am not certain. That is a great question. I think it is. I think it is a one-time contribution. And I can get that verification. I do not think it's annually. I do believe it's one time. You make the contribution that one time. And then, but I will find out. I will find out for certain. And I'll share some information a little later this evening that kind of alludes to some of the concern that, you know, that the voucher program continues to present in school districts like ours, as far as students that leave our district.
How soon do you need the board's decision?
That's up to you. If you guys want to take a little more information, get a little more information and spend a little more time dialoguing about it, that's up to you. I didn't want it to kind of float in oblivion and just you guys forget about it. But the CEO of the organization has contacted me a couple of times, and I told him I shared it with the board 2 weeks ago, and now I'll just bring it back up to him. But that's up to
By the
you.
next board meeting?
Like, you said, say it again?
By the next board meeting? You don't know?
I'm all on board with, vouchers, however good they do. So,
I'm on
that's
board.
just,
When we find out if it's an annual or just a one-time contribution.
One time?
I agree.
No, I didn't know how all board members felt, so that's why I said. Yeah.
how you feel about it?
I think we all feel like we want to join the coalition.
Yeah, I feel like
I felt like that, but I said I didn't know how all board members felt, and I didn't know. We wanted to give a little time for I feel like.
Hattie?
Patty? Or you need some more time to decide?
Only by my first name.
Oh, sorry, Ms. Kilgore.
No, that's fine. I'm just playing. Yeah, it sounds like a great idea.
So the next step would be to,
Create the resolution.
well, the resolution is already created. It's
Oh.
in the packet. It is on page 2. I don't know if it's page 2 here. Sorry. maybe it didn't pop up in the,
If you're not missing out. One, two.
yeah, maybe it didn't pop up in the print, because it's a drop-down menu. But there is a resolution that is already created for the board. And if you choose, if we choose to do it next week, in 2 weeks, what I can do is I can have it as an agenda item under board items with the resolution attached. And then I can send everybody, through one of our, do not reply emails, mass emails, I can send everybody a copy of the resolution.
Okay.
So, next week, next meeting, not next
Next
week.
board meeting,
Yes.
Yes.
Next week, I don't want to give you guys an additional meeting, okay.
I won't be here next week.
Okay, all right. And that's all I have for that. We'll
Alright.
make sure we get that on the agenda.
Anyone have any questions for Mr. Howard? Item number 4, treasurer's report.
Okay, thank you. I did add the approval of 2 then and now certificates. So I'll speak about the first one, to Prairie Farms Dairy. We changed dairy vendors, this is for milk and things for school lunches and breakfasts, to Borden Farms. So our purchase order was to Borden Farms. We had the first delivery was still from Prairie Farms. So we did have a purchase order, but in closing the fiscal year, that one had been closed, Borden had been open. So when this invoice came in, we didn't have a purchase order, which is why it comes to you now as a then and now, because it's over $3,000. So I am asking for approval for this tonight.
So you're asking approval for the Borden Farms, how much is it?
It's for Prairie Farms Dairy in the amount of $4,157.23.
So we're going from Prairie Farms to Borden Farms.
Yes.
Okay.
And just for the record, our participation in the Southwest Ohio Educational Purchasing Consortium, the consortium bids out the contract. So what they do is they will come back to us and say, hey, we got a better deal with this company, and then we'll sign on with that company. And this is kind of how all that got lost in the shuffle. But the fact that when we close our books, these companies, they don't stop. They keep, they keep sending bills. And when we have milk throughout the summer, through our summer programs, probably next meeting, I'll give you a summary of what we did as far as serving meals in the summer, and you can see how much milk and things that we bought. And remember, most of this stuff is reimbursed too.
Yes.
So,
So we need action in reference to Prairie Farms invoice for $4,157, correct?
And 23 cents.
And
yes.
23 cents.
Yes.
I need a motion.
I'll second.
Mrs. Adams has been second. Would you call the roll, please?
Yes, Mrs. Simmons?
Yes.
Mrs. Kilgore?
Yes.
Mrs. Currington?
Yes.
Mr. Lumpkins?
Yes.
Mrs. Cherry?
Yes. Motion passes. Second item?
The second item I have is another then and now certificate. The reason for this then and now also lines up with the closing of the fiscal year and closing of purchase orders. These purchases were made by the maintenance department. Again, the maintenance department is a department that does not take a break in the summer. There's a lot of work to be done. So the purchase order was closed to close the fiscal year. These purchases were made, and so to be able to pay the bill, we need your approval for this then and now in the amount of $6,780.68.
What was it for, Ms. Adams?
It was for a variety of things that the maintenance departments needs. They use this purchasing card when they go to Lowe's or Home Depot or
Okay.
things as they're doing repairs over the summer.
Okay.
You said $6,780.68.
Yes, $6,780.68.
So I need a motion.
Motion.
I second.
Ms. Adams has been moved in second. Would you call the roll?
Yes, Mrs. Simmons?
Yes.
Mrs. Currington?
Yes.
Mr. Lumpkin?
Yes.
Mrs. Kilgore?
Yes.
Mrs. Cherry?
Yes. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Do you have anything else, Mrs. Adams?
I do not have anything else tonight. I will bring the August minutes to the next meeting.
Okay. All right, thank you. Item number 5, superintendent's report.
I do have a few items this evening. The first is I'm asking for, I'm sorry. Asking for approval of the Life Touch Box Top for Education American Income Life Commission checks for Madison Park. If you look at your agenda, there are 3 items there: box tops for education, Life Touch Commission, and American Life Commission checks. And these are all for information this evening. Box tops is $2.70. Life Touch is $128.94. And American Income Life Commission is $34. All of those items will go to the Principals Fund at Madison Park, and that is for information this evening. Okay, question. Next item is item B, the personnel agenda. This is the agenda that was shared with you guys last week. There are no changes to this agenda. As we move through the year, the agenda starts to get a little shorter and shorter, which means that people are hired and positions are filled. But you will also start to see the supplemental positions that are being posted. And we're trying to get those, especially those athletic positions, up and on the agenda. Mr. Manley and Mr. Smith, A.D. Smith, have been doing a good job of trying to get ahead of those positions, especially for winter, to get those things on the agenda for this meeting, so we're not struggling around, waiting around to the last minute to get those positions filled. So with the personnel agenda, I am asking for action this evening on the agenda.
Mr. Howard has already sent us via email the personnel agenda for our review. Are there any questions? Okay. I need a motion.
I'll second.
Mrs. Adams has been moved in second. Will you call the roll?
Yes, Mr. Lumpkin?
Yes.
Mrs. Currington?
Yes.
Mrs. Simmons?
Yes.
Mrs. Kilgore?
Yes.
Mrs. Cherry?
Yes. Motion passes for the personnel agenda.
All right, and thank you. The last item I have is the amended agenda item, which will be denoted as C under the superintendent's report. There are 2 field trip requests from the Trotwood Madison Band. In your folder labeled A are the request letters from the Director of Curriculum and School Improvement, Ms. Murdoch. Both of these trips are overnight field trips, and the board needs to approve them. Now, traditionally, we do ask for 60 days prior to approval. For some reason, this Memphis trip, I don't know if it got lost in the mail. We're trying to figure that out. But the band is scheduled to go to Memphis on the 26th and the 26th through the 28th. And both of these trips will be funded through fundraising and other activities that the band and the boosters will proceed with. So you have the first trip to Memphis, Tennessee. Those students will be traveling by charter bus. Upon arrival in Memphis, students will participate in the Southern Heritage Classic High School Battle of the Bands and attend the Southern Heritage Classic between UAPB, University of Arkansas Pine Bluff, and Alcorn State University. When they return, students will review their performances to identify strengths and weaknesses upon which to build and improve. And then the second field trip is the TMHS Band out-of-state overnight field trip to New Orleans, Louisiana. The trip will be open to band students in grades 9 through 12. Those are the supervisors. Students will also travel by charter bus. Students will tour HBCUs, Alabama A&M University and Alabama State University on their way to perform at the Mardi Gras Crewe parades. When they return, students will review their performances to identify strengths and weaknesses upon which to build and improve. So I am asking the board to review and approve both of these overnight out-of-state field trips. And again, both trips will be funded, initially funded through fundraisers that the band is currently doing. I'm asking for action this evening on those.
I have a question.
Yes,
So I
ma'am.
do know for the Memphis, band field trip that they're doing a fundraiser, and I think this week is the last week for that particular fundraiser. But the New Orleans, are they fundraising for that one as well? I mean,
Right.
you said that they are, but I haven't seen anything in reference to it, so how
So,
much?
I've had a conversation with Mr. Bean and the president of the band booster club, Mrs. Gadd. And Mrs. Gadd has put together a proposal for fundraising. And I am going to review it and have a meeting with her, because I do believe that if their fundraising goal is not met, they would want to have some conversation with the board. And this has happened before, and it became a, I don't want to use the word controversial, but I will say that it was kind of a controversial conversation that happened. But I think what we need to do collectively as a group is just have a little more dialogue about what happens in the event that they do not hit their goal for New Orleans.
Do we know what the goal is?
I believe it was $8,000. I believe that's what it was.
For New Orleans?
For New Orleans. I'm almost certain that the Memphis trip is already taken care of. But I believe their New Orleans fundraising goal was $8,000.
What type of fundraising do they typically do?
So they do popcorn sales, they did
Is it concession stand?
they do a concession stand, they had a dunk booth at the, back to school bash.
And they had something else at that table that they were selling.
Yeah, they also had, I can't remember exactly what that is.
What it was, because I just
Yeah.
donated, but.
So they do a variety of different fundraisers, and all of the money is funneled through the band organization. The school district does not see any of it. It's a completely different entity than the school district. And several years ago, and I'll speak to this very, respectfully, the band didn't reach a goal, and they came to the board and asked for some money to supplement the funds that they needed.
A lot of money.
Yeah, it was a lot of money, and the district financially was the district was in a little better financial place because the ESSER money was there. There were opportunities for external experiences, and, there was a lot of different things in play at that time. Where we are now, the board is gonna have to have a very, very direct and focused discussion about if and when. And that's gonna be a conversation that I'm gonna have to have with Ms. Gadd and Mr. Bean as well, along with Ms. Adams, to be clear to them that we're not in the position we were, 5 or 6 years ago. And these are great experiences, great opportunities.
It's not just that experience that then starts coming to the board too, so you have to, maybe we need to create some sort of guideline
Yeah,
about what needs to be done before it gets to coming to us.
yeah.
You know,
So,
outside of
one
just,
created.
we're
Right.
selling us double good popcorn.
yeah, and
It was one.
yeah, with regard to what Ms. Cherry just said, there were some guidelines that were established. There's a fundraising process that goes through the treasurer's office. What happened was districts received this ESSER money dedicated to these type of experiences. So we were looking for things to expend these type of funds on. Now, that money has withered away, and some people remember these things that we did, and they think that, yeah,
Send them
that
if I
this-
remember correctly.
they did.
I thought they.
Yeah, well,
Oh, they
they,
sent them?
yeah, they sent them. And there was a New York trip, and there was another band trip, and through ESSER funds, we were able to support those experiences. But now, we're in a different place, and we have to really evaluate, because we want our kids to have these experiences, but we can't, we can't jeopardize, ourselves financially for one group, is what I'm saying. Okay, so with all that being said, if we approve them tonight and they don't make the goal, that doesn't mean
They got
the
it.
right.
Right.
Our approval is saying it is okay.
Okay.
Your approval is, it's okay
If you have the
if you
funds.
make the money, if you
Yes.
have the funds. Okay? Ms. Murdock, am I missing anything on that? Okay, all right.
Are there
So,
any questions? Or any more questions? I need a motion to approve the field trip for our band students.
I'm over.
I'll second.
Mrs. Adams has been moved and second. Will you call the roll, please?
Yes, Mr. Lumpkin?
Yes.
Mrs. Simmons?
Yes.
Mrs. Kilgore?
Yes.
Mrs. Currington?
Yes.
Mrs. Cherry?
Yes, the motion passes. Item number 6, discussion items and updates.
okay, I received a couple of updates, points of discussion from Board President Cherry. And what we did is we did talk through A and B, and I asked that I could give you guys a little more detail about those after we have our policy meeting here a little later in the month. So I'll provide some real direct legislative updates and updates on special education after our policy meeting on the 25th, I believe, 25th or 26th. And then I'll put together a summary for the board with regards to updates through policy. But what I did share with you to your Trotwood Madison email, and I shared it through your email and didn't make copies because we are doing our best to try to cut costs every way we can, and I didn't want to make a bunch of copies of this when you can look at it online. So what I provided you is a copy of the 2025 legislative platform from the Ohio School Boards Association. So in this, on your Trotwood Madison email, you can look at the scan, and it provides all of the specific platform issues that OSBA is focused on when it comes to current policy going on in the State House. And just to give you a few, facilities use fees, gambling, impact tax, Medicaid, pooling, pre-kindergarten funding. It just gives you a list of things that the Ohio School Boards Association is lobbying for, and a lot of them have to do with some of the things that we've been talking about over the last year with regards to House Bill 96, public education, taxes, tax reform, the expenditure caps, all of those things, and it just kind of sums up all of the things that the Ohio School Board Association is focusing on when it comes to lobbying in the State House. So that's just an update from that standpoint, from a general standpoint from OSBA. And we'll get a little more specific after we have our policy meeting with Mr. Norm Burkhart from Neola. Okay?
Okay.
C, that's Ms. Adams.
Okay, I am providing just a grants update to everybody. And there, you have a handout at your seat that says September 5th grant summary. And just to piggyback a little bit on what Mr. Howard just said, for grants timelines, for our entitlement grants, which are the first ones that you see there, we typically get an award notification maybe the second week of June to let us know how much we're receiving for each of these grants. Then we have a couple of weeks to put our budget and plan together, turn it back into the state for approval, and then we can start spending the funds on July 1st. This year, as part of the House, really as part of the federal budget bill, these funds were all put on hold and delayed. So we received our award notification about 2 weeks ago. So our planning and spending, we can start spending it, but our planning for this is definitely delayed based on past practice. So I just wanted to say that because I think that kind of ties in with some of the other updates you'll be hearing legislatively later in the month. So the first set of them are entitlement grants, and these are all grants that flow through the federal government to the state government to us. The first one is Title I. And so for each one, I have the title of it, the purpose. I went ahead and put in our allocation from last year and then our allocation from this year. And then in the difference column, you can see some of those we received a little bit less, some of them we received a little bit more. At the end of the day, we received almost $40,000 more than the year before. So that's not bad. We were anticipating, the state was trying to guess what we would get, and they thought we would see a 10% cut across the board. So we were pleasantly surprised that we didn't see that. The ones that are in red, Title IIA, which is supporting effective instruction, that's one that we use for a lot of our professional development, for tuition reimbursement to staff who are furthering their education. Title III, which is English language learners, that's a grant that can be used for language instruction for English learners and immigrant students. And then also Title IV, student support and academic enrichment, which is used to support academic experiences and enrichment. We use that here to rent instruments for students in the band. We pay for that with that grant money. We pay for our Muse machine experiences for our elementary kids, middle school and high school. We also pay for some art supplies and part of a school resource officer because Safe and Healthy Schools is included in that. I made the title of those red because we are fairly certain that those are grants that the federal government will not be funding next year. And so just wanted to kind of draw your attention to that. We definitely have plans to use those funds this year, and it wouldn't just be our district, it would be every district in the country would not be receiving those funds. So I just wanted to make sure we were all aware of that coming. Not 100%, but so far, that's the way it looks like it may be headed.
That's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money. And those things that I described that we do with that money are all really important things that add to, improving teacher quality and providing enrichment for students and supporting students who are learning English. So just wanted to draw your attention there. We receive IDEA funds to support our special education students with disabilities, and then also a small amount of money to support students with disabilities who are in our preschool program. And so we use the majority of those funds for staff. We can also use some of those funds for professional development, some of those funds for supplies to support students with disabilities. The next one down, the Title I non-competitive supplemental school improvement grant, is a grant that can only be used for Westbrook Village. They are listed in comprehensive school improvement status, which means they're one of the lowest 5% performing schools in the state, so they get additional funds targeted just to them. And so as much as you hope that they get better and they don't fall into that category any longer, we would eventually lose those funds at the same time. So expanding opportunities is another grant that we received to expand course offerings or offer opportunities to students to pay for them that we aren't able to offer here. And then early childhood education funds a large part of our preschool program. We don't believe that one is at risk right now, but we use that for some supplies for those classrooms and for I think 5 teachers. So that's very helpful. I had mentioned at the last meeting, we also have other grants. And these are grants that teachers have applied for. And so you can see the total for those. I'm going to go back to the entitlement grants. The total for those is $3,649,698.89, which was a nice large amount of money. These other grants are grants that teachers have applied for on their own because it's something that they're interested in and they want to enhance the things happening in their classroom. And so these are the three that I mentioned the last time: the Ohio Arts Council grant, the Where Kids Grow Garden grant, and then the Martha Holding Jennings Award to Mrs. Larson. I know that both Mrs. Cossey and Mrs. Larson are actively applying for other grants because sometimes they need some documents from the treasurer's office to apply for those. So I will continue to offer updates if they receive those grants along the way. But this is just a summary of where we are this year. And like I said, these amounts were delayed. We hope that next year they'll be back on time. We hope that we still receive all of them, but we definitely know that some are up in the air right now.
I'm scared to ask, what's the plan?
The plan for grant funds,
The cuts?
well, that may be something that we'll have to discuss.
I wasn't asking you to actually answer
Okay.
that.
I said, I don't have a
Thinking out
plan
Kind
for
of
that.
rhetorical.
Yeah.
But I think Ms. Adams and I both know that, you know, there's going to have to be some discussion about playing. And whatever that is, we'll share with you guys
Yeah.
first.
I just will say one more thing. If you look at the amount of grants that the teacher, and kudos to the teachers for applying for those and getting them. The total of those three is $44,800, which doesn't compare to the $3.6 million in the other. So that's just to say, we encourage people and we will absolutely help them to apply for other grants, but it's really not possible to apply for lots of little ones to make up what we're going to
The
see as a
difference.
difference.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And our hope is that folks in the nation's capital
Lose?
just make some decisions that are in the
Best interest.
in the best interest of
Public
kids.
education.
Yeah.
yeah, best interest of kids. But we all know that that's not always the determining factor.
Some gotta change.
Ms. Adams, you good?
Yes, I'm done.
Okay.
Thank you.
Next, thank you, Mrs. Adams. Next is item D, updated safety guidelines.
Okay, in your folder labeled number 2 is a revision of, well, not a revision, just a update of the safety guidelines for Trotwood Madison City Schools sporting events. If you were live over the last 2 weeks and you watched the news, you happened to turn on the news, there was a big to-do from the media, all 3 outlets, I believe, with regards to the incident that took place. So what we did is we met with Trotwood Police, the Trotwood Police Department, and our district administration, our school resource officer, and we came up with some revisions that we are going to be implementing this
Tomorrow.
yeah, this tomorrow. Yeah, I was thinking the game was next week, but it's tomorrow. Man, time is flying. So this home game we're going to be implementing, which happens to be Pee Wee night as well. So along with our new revisions, we're going to have probably 100+ little Rams running around. But I just got the email. I just got a notification. Mr. Smith sent a very direct and specific email about how that process is going to be managed as well. So we think we got that together. But just back to the document, it talks about tickets and entry. The second bullet, TMHS students must show their school ID to enter. All students, as of today, that are active at the high school have a student ID. So in order for them to get into the game, they will have to show their student ID and wear it during the contest. And this is going to be from here on out. So they're also expected to have them on them at school as well. So we worked hard, and I want to give a lot of credit to Mr. Dion Miller, the guidance counselor secretary. He did most of this work. All of the
Dion's
kids, all of the kids have full color picture IDs with their name on them and their grade level, and they're on black lanyards that they should have on They should have one tomorrow. Home fans will be entering through the central gate. Visitors fans will now enter through the south gate. No re-entry, some general standard things. Back to the reminding folks about no backpacks, clear backpacks if they have one, no outside food, behavior and conduct, safety and security, transportation and pickup. One of the things that we discussed very diligently is the fact that we're expecting folks to be gone no longer than 30 minutes after the game. We've also identified a specific area in the student parking lot, or the activity parking lot. It also is the student parking lot, where we will have a ride share area for Lyfts and Ubers, similar to when you go to large venues or events. In the past, they just kind of been picking kids up for everywhere. Meet me in the front, meet me over here, I'll walk to you. So now we're going to have a designated area for those ride share vehicles, and then cancellations. That's standard. But also the overarching point is that everybody will be forced to the stands, especially all of the kids under the ages of 17 and under. They'll all be forced to sit in the stands. The band is moving from the area in the stands to the end zone, so we'll have more space for the band. We saw that as kind of a conflict when you're trying to get more people in the stands. The band had that whole area over there, so we made a decision to move them into the end zone. And then all students, as you can see, all students 14 and under must be accompanied by a paying adult, and we'll give them at least to a 4-to-1 ratio, at least 3-to-1, 4-to-1, as far as adults to kids. But all students will need to be accompanied by a paying adult, 21 and over.
Okay, you said 21 and over.
21 and over
Okay.
for the adults.
Yeah.
Did I miss kids that are not students of Trotwood?
We are still going to have that same principle for them as well.
Okay.
Yeah, 21 and over. Yeah.
Okay.
And we'll have staff at the gate. We are contracting with the street soldiers. They are going to be, I think we've got 16 gentlemen that will be present tomorrow. And they will have on their their yellow shirts, and they will be working the gate, they'll be working the stands, they'll be working the concession stand area. So our intent is to provide an enjoyable and exciting atmosphere, but we want to make sure that it's safe. And our kids deserve the same type of atmosphere that they have in other communities when it comes to Friday night lights. But we're going to make sure we take those extra steps to make it happen. And we can have all this stuff in place, and something can still happen. But we are anticipating that if it does,
We've taken great
we
measures
take-
to prevention.
yeah, we take every opportunity to try, like you said, to try to prevent it and put a plan in place. And this has been sent out to all district stakeholders. Sent it to the city of Trotwood, and they've shared it on their site as well. I'm going to send it to the newspaper. I'm going to share that with them. I'll share it with them in the morning, and we'll see Friday night. We're excited. We think we've got a good game, and we don't want it to be, we don't want it to be distracted from what's going on the field for silliness. So this is what we got in place.
All right.
Thank you.
All right.
Any questions?
Questions? All right, that's it.
Next item up, treasurer's comments.
Okay. I wanted to share just a couple of things. I was able to attend the OASBO Fall Finance Update in Miamisburg last week. And one thing that they mentioned is that there's still an opportunity for corrections to some of the things in House Bill 96 through the end of December. And so OASBO and OSBA are working together. OSBA has a new leader, and I guess they work very well together to submit some items for correction. So that's just something that we'll want to keep an eye out for. Some of the things we think we know may change still a little bit. The other thing that I just wanted to say as a reminder with House Bill 96, changed the submission timeline for the forecast and changed the forecast from a 5-year to a 3-year forecast. So you will be hearing a presentation of our board policy calls for a 5-year forecast. And so we'll present that forecast, and then we'll just take a year off to submit the 3-year forecast to meet the requirement of the state. But you will hear that forecast next week, and then I will need to ask for your approval at the first meeting in October so that we can meet the October 16th submission deadline. So just what we're moving towards, and this year, because everything happens so late, it's an October submission, but starting next year, it will be an August and a February submission instead of November and May. So it's an interesting timeline, but it'll be a change. And so, you'll be hearing that forecast next week. So just a heads up.
You have any other comments?
No, that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Superintendent comments?
Okay, just a few. I have provided all of the board members with a copy of the superintendent's update for September 2025. Just a brief summary of some of the things going on here in the district. I did want to give you the heads up as far as a couple of important dates here for my calendar. The 8th, we will begin our benchmark testing here in the district. The 25th, I will be meeting with the city manager to discuss some of the same things that we heard here from Chad this evening, and then vice versa, some of the things that we have going on here in the district, sharing just a summary of how things have been going, the first few weeks. Also talking to him about our strategic vision and our plan and how that's coming along, and I'll provide you guys some updates from that meeting. Also, there are a list of the dates going on in the building, things going on in the building for the month of September. Each building has a few things going on. And as I stated in my summary, we're starting to ramp up. School is truly in session, as you can start to see some of the things that are going on. And please feel free to attend any of those events if you have time and your schedule permits. And then attached to that are a couple of the flyers that coincide with some of the dates. Family night at the middle school on the 25th. Grandparents' Day tomorrow at Madison Park Elementary, 11:15, second grade, third grade, 12 o'clock. I plan on stopping by tomorrow and mix and mingling with some of the grandparents. And I shared this flyer with you. I thought was kind of interesting. This the last flyer. It is pizza time. The Trotwood Madison girls basketball coach, Jalen Gilbert, is inviting all young ladies grades 1 through 12 to what she calls skills, drills, and pizza. And it's going to be a night of fun where they introduce basketball fundamentals and free pizza with kids. And what she's trying to do is introduce basketball to some of our young ladies. Our numbers in the basketball, the ladies basketball program have not been as strong as they were in the past. So she's really trying to make some dedicated effort to increase her numbers and get kids, young ladies interested in basketball. And I thought that was a pretty innovative thing to do. And I have shared this throughout the district, and I wanted to make sure I shared it with you guys this evening. And the last item I have, I stated last board meeting I was going to share with the board and update you guys just on enrollment through the next, at least through this month and where we are. And this is the email train that we started the 13th. And those highlighted numbers are where we are, where we were each of those dates. And if you look on the second page, you can see that enrollment is down just a little bit, but that is kind of the ebbs and flows of the first couple weeks of school. So from the 20th, we were at 2608. Now we are at 2522, so roughly about 70 students that are either filtering their way out, that have withdrawn, that have left the district, or that are no-shows. But I anticipate that number going up again once, once we get all registrations in, and then going down, and that's just kind of how it happens throughout the year. But one of the things that I thought was some really good data, and I wanted to share with you, was the last two blocks. They're the same block of information, but what it does is it shows you how many students are actually in the district, in our seats, in our building, and then how many students are in our district but enrolled or attending other schools that are not in our district. And as you can see, our current number on our roll is 2522, but there are 466 kids that attend, whether it's a private school, whether they're open enrolled to other schools, whether it's CTC, whether using the Autism Scholarship, whether they're on a voucher, et cetera. So, there are almost 470 kids that are inside our district that are attending other schools. So that gives us 2,988 kids that Trotwood Madison City Schools is still responsible for. So when I say that 2522, that is the $7,700 or $7,800 that we receive. But that 466 is that $7,700 that goes somewhere else. And when you talk about, 466 times, almost $8,000, that's a good chunk of money that leaves our district on a yearly basis. And maybe that coincides with why Vouchers Hurt Ohio is important.
Interestingly enough, it's almost the exact number that the grants that we could use is. It's $3,634,800.
Wow. So, and I'll be frank and say that, there are some parents, some guardians that they're not going to send their kids to public school regardless. That's just not what they do, But there are also some parents out there that I truly believe we have to do better at marketing ourselves and making them understand and showing them what Trotwood Madison City Schools has to offer. If you never had your kid in public schools, you're not gonna bring them back. But if you're teetering on why, or somebody's thrown out, a shiny object and said, "Come over here," and we have not done that, I think that I think we have to kind of refine how we try to recruit some of these kids back, and I'm gonna work with Mr. Nadir specifically, and some other folks within the district to try to figure out who these kids are. Who are the kids going to charter schools? Who's going to charter schools? And I'm not gonna mention them by name, but who's going to charter schools that are in our community? Who are these kids and why did they leave? Because I want to know why. We need to find out why. Because if you got some valid reasons, then we get that, we understand. But if there's no validity behind it, and it's just because it was closer to us, or it's I live in this apartment complex and my kids can just walk right to school, I want to make sure that the product that we offer is worth getting on the bus. There you go.
Some people may be, some parents may feel because it's a low performing district.
And that's
because
true.
I've had that conversation with a couple of parents and grandparents whose children attend charter schools and/or private schools.
Yeah. Which is always a contradiction in a sense, because a lot of the charter schools, the majority of them, are not performing any better than Trotwood Madison City Schools. Now there are some.
Right.
There are some. There are a couple out here that are doing better. There are some. But we also have to take in consideration that Some charter schools may have 36 graders when we have almost 200. So it all comes back to what we expect from ourselves and what we expect from our kids and what we expect from our staff and our parents too. So ultimately, we're gonna put, and we did this several years ago, and Mr. Nadir and I were part of a process of recruitment initiative to try to find out and get some data and some information about why folks are leaving. And I think once we start that process, why they're leaving, and then making sure that they understand you matter and we have it and it can happen here, maybe we can go about getting some of these kids back. And that's my 2 cents.
I do have a question, because out of 466, I believe it's 111 students at CTC from Trotwood. Is that in that number?
I believe so, yeah. And again, those kids, those CTC kids, we do get a portion of that money, but we only get maybe a third, something like that, maybe a third. But there are also kids that open enroll to other districts. Our biggest number of kids of open enroll out, I believe, is New Lebanon. You know, and a lot of those kids live out here, and it's closer to those sort of things. So we're gonna sit down and we're gonna have some conversation. We're gonna try to find out who some of these folks are, and then work on a plan to just make an outreach. All right?
Thank you, Mr. Howard.
All right, that's all I have. See.
Now we're at the part of the agenda that asks for board comments, and we'll start with Mrs. Currington.
I just want to say thank everybody for the great job that they're doing. Continue to do the work that you guys do. That's all I have.
I wasn't expecting that. Mrs. Kilgore?
I just want to welcome back the students and staff. Welcome Mrs. Adams. It started off a great year for me and my family, so just welcome back. That's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Lumpkin?
I mean, the spirit of keeping it short. Go Rams beat Springfield, that's all I got.
All right.
Vice President, Mrs. Simmons?
I concur with the rest of my board members. It's been great to see all the wonderful things that are going on in this first 3 weeks, and looking forward to an awesome school year, and looking forward to a win over Springfield tomorrow, and I'll keep it short as well.
Go Rams. Okay. I concur. I just wanted to say that I just think that we are off to a good start. I like what I'm seeing with the schools, the EOC, making the connections, the self-care. I really thought that was really awesome for our students, and I'm thinking that they will really benefit from that self-care. So I look forward to a lot of new and exciting things from all the schools, all the school buildings. And lastly, I just wanted to say, I wanted to just say this to the community. If you have an issue or a concern, please come to the school board meetings. Contact the administrators or the superintendent versus going to social media. If there is an issue, sometimes we're not even aware of it until it hits social media. So respectfully, would you please come to the school board meeting to address any concerns? Contact the superintendent or the administrators of the building. I'm looking forward to a great win tomorrow as well. Last week's game was phenomenal. And with that being said,
Go Rams.
go Rams.
Rams.
We will not be entering into executive session, so I will need a motion to adjourn.
I motion.
I'll second.
Mrs. Adams has been moved in second. Would you please call the roll?
Yes. Mrs. Currington?
Yes.
Mrs. Simmons?
Yes.
Mr. Lumpkin?
Yes.
Mrs. Kilgore?
Yes.
Mrs. Cherry?
Yes, motion passes. Meeting adjourned.
Now, that's how you got to meet before 8 o'clock.
Mrs. Potter did buy you guys food.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's-
So-
Everybody wants to get home one